Hey, welcome. Coffee with Curmudgeons here on a Monday. It's Monday Live. If you're here, we're live. Monday, 9:05. Is it the 9:05? I got 9:08. I was hoping 9:05. Is that a Pete Townsend on the 9:05? Speaking of Pete Townsend, I am with my co-host, my buddy, Coffee with Curmudgeons. Folks, say hello to Tiny Tim.
Hi, I'm Tiny Tim. Yes, I look a little larger now. I was a child actor back in the 70s. You may recognize me from the episode 117 of The Partridge Family, where I played the autistic child that just came in and ruined everything.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I didn't?
Let's not be talking. You're Tiny Tim.
Oh, I'm Tiny Tim.
Flower Power.
Okay, then all I gotta say is...
Tiny Tim.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna do Dickens. God bless us, everyone.
No.
Not
that Tiny Tim. Tiny Tiptoe. Thank you. Jeez Louise.
Come and tiptoe with me. Yeah.
Jason Allen, the un-PC part of this show.
Well, you know.
Unless Doc starts talking about political figures and people he doesn't like and would like to see.
And then, you know.
End. Pass.
It's all good.
Oh, wow. We're promising we'll make this promise that we're going to be nicer.
We'll get these people through a Monday. We'll do it.
I know.
We'll do it. That's
I know. Jason will be more PC.
I will. I'll work on it. I'll work on it. You know, I'll go to a seminar.
Not gonna happen.
No.
As much as I try.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try not to, wish ill health on people like Dick Cheney.
Mass death. You know.
Which I did last week, which I felt terrible about.
No, it's Darth Cheney. He can take it.
I know. It's like I know.
You know.
Oh, it's kind of...
Don't cry for him, Argentina. It's okay.
No, so, I mean, cool. Look, with me, it's the war machine. And I don't mean, war. What is it good for?
Military, industrial complex, deep state, these guys.
Bombs, arms and legs, innocent civilians. Mm-hmm. Doc is not about that at all.
That's in your mission statement, too.
Yeah. I mean, you need to... In Doc's book, you need to be like the British. You need to have the Luftwaffe flying over your island,
right,
dropping the bombs before you go, time to declare war.
Right. Right. Yeah, we don't want any more Dunkirks.
No.
We're all about...
That's right.
Yeah.
So did you go out and see movies this week?
No.
There's Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan, right?
Yes.
It released another big summer release.
Yeah.
A summer feel-good movie.
That's right.
Dunkirk. Retreat.
That's right. It's a retreat.
Yeah.
And the problem is that people think a retreat is like a nice, comfy weekend with trailers and cocoa and stuff. But this was a full retreat. This was a full retreat.
Yeah.
No, I laid low this weekend.
Me too.
I took it easy. I did some girl therapy last night.
You always do girl therapy.
It centers my chi. Some people, they either do Pilates or yoga. Some people, go doing like a nice evening walk, or they go jogging or working out. They find that, that center. My center is grilling up dead animal parts.
Hey.
On a back.
See, we got to work on that one, too.
Okay. Well,
If you haven't watched this program before... Jason, grill therapy.
Oh, me. Okay, yeah.
Doc, vegan. So there you go.
Right.
And I can't remember. Four going on 4, almost 5, something like that years now. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't always a vegan, but changed a few years back. So.
Right.
Anyway.
I remember when we were. This is what got to be going on, 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was doing the other show, and you first said, "Hey, I'm vegan." The total class clowns that we were.
Yeah.
There was serious thought about giving you a Kentucky Fried Chicken gift card.
Oh,
just for just for poops and giggles.
We, I grew up on that stuff, and and we have a whole episode. It's I don't know what episode it is.
I know.
I should go back and label it or something.
Yeah,
we did a whole episode on Harlan Sanders.
And
it was one of the classics in the classic vault, and the one because I had read all this stuff about Harlan Sanders, and the reason. His spokesperson. The bottom line was he called when the company was sold. He called the potatoes and gravy wallpaper paste.
Yeah,
and he's the spokesman for his faces on the thing. And the extra crispy chicken was. I don't just dip a bunch of damn chicken in some flour and fry it up, dip 13 spices or whatever. So anyway,
at that time he's like the senile Kentucky Colonel guy, just
Yeah. But we don't have to go back to that. That's a plenty long episode. But someday when we're going to have somebody to go through and check those episodes or whatever.
When we have an army of interns doing our every bidding.
See, I had Sunday night is Twin Peaks night. It's also Game of Thrones night, I believe. You watch Game of Thrones,
I do. I religiously watch it. I'm suckered in,
Sunday's a big TV night. Like, people are Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And Twin Peaks The Return.
Yeah.
Which is 1,200 million people watching Game of Thrones and about 12 people watching Twin Peaks.
No. Twin Peaks, They've done very well, and the thing about Twin Peaks is, like Game of Thrones, that's turned into like this, cult sort of thing.
Oh yeah, very much so.
The Twin Peakers, man, they are loyal.
So I've watched some I actually watched some after the Twin Peaks was over. I wanted more. And you could just dump in and go watch the original series or whatever. Sure. And it's that's another hour or whatever. So I'm not going to do that. So I watched some little snippets on YouTube. Oh. Like Showtime even had previews, interviews with David Lynch and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm all I'm going to watch this. Yeah. And then they had some stuff about the fans, the story, the Twin Peaks. I mean, it's like Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Twin Peaks has stayed alive after it went off the air. Mm-hmm. It came back because the fan, like Kyle MacLachlan, was it's because you liked this show that we're back. If you didn't like this show, nobody would care, and it would have never been, returned 25 years later. But but they're like Star Trek fans, and they do cosplay.
Really? Twin Peaks cosplay? No,
but it gets better. Twin Peaks burlesque.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I am now and I'm not a
That's
joiner.
saucy.
I'm a trekker guy, too.
Yeah.
But I've never gone to a convention and dressed Twin like Peaks. Spock or anything.
No.
I'm just not that kind of a person. I know people who are, and I wish I would. Like, if I had a group of friends, it's like when you're a kid on the playground and your grandma says, don't hang out with the bad kids who smoke and do bad stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
If I had a clique of friends who were all doing this, then I'd probably have the courage to jump in, but I don't. Yeah. I don't like wearing costumes so much unless there's a really good reason for it. Unless it's freaking Halloween, October 31st.
So you're not a trendsetter. You're not the guy. No. You're not the guy on point leading the.
Nope.
Gotcha. Me neither.
Yeah. I mean, I dress like Johnny Cash. I wear black on
the man in black.
But anyway, but I would love to go to a Twin Peaks
cosplay
convention with Twin Peaks cosplay and Twin Peaks burlesque. And there it was. I think in the original series there was actually a talent show thing famously, and one of the guys did another character, came as the log lady and all that. So I think some of that's even inspired from the actual real series. Yeah. I have to go back and watch after this is over. But anyway, but still, I was like, this looks like fun.
The only thing that seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that Twin Peak cosplay would be just a bunch of flannel.
It is. It is. I mean, the costuming's not
Yeah.
You know, you can. I think you can get affordable costuming because you need your flannel if you want to go.
And your logger suspenders.
And the hats.
Yeah.
Which is cool. If you want to go though as FBI, then you need like a nice dark, 80s punk, Mad Men styled suit with the small tie.
A little polyester going on.
Yeah.
Maybe rayon.
Yeah.
That's 80s.
Yeah. And then just a bunch of Northwest grunge era fashion,
There you go.
Maybe carry around a log.
I'd be an FBI guy and I'd give myself a cool name. Like I'd be like Agent Brewbaker.
That's right. Yeah.
Brewbaker. Don't worry, folks. Brewbaker's here. I'm ready to.
I think, and especially now they're playing on it. I think Twin Peaks is like. It's like, how would you describe it? It's like maybe like Northern Exposure, a little bit soap opera, and X-Files. All kind of mashed into one big thing. Because anytime the FBI's around,
trouble's afoot, right?
Well, then it gets real X-Files-y kind of. Like last night. Got real X-Files. Oh, yeah. I mean, even David Duchovny famously guest starred in the original Twin Peaks, came back, did a cameo in this new one. Famously he played a transgender.
Oh, wow.
So
it's kind of X-Files meets Californication? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was funny, too, because if you ever look at... David Duchovny's a handsome guy.
Yeah.
He pulls that off very well.
He makes a hot chick?
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, again, Mr. PC over here.
You see, the problem is...
It was groundbreaking. At the time on television back in the 90s, when did you have... And the whole storyline was like, oh, yeah, my former friend did do DEA and stuff. And I can't remember... Denise. It was Dennis.
Oh, Dennis.
And then it was Denise. And it was like... And everyone just went, okay. You know, and so back then, that was like... foreshadowing today. Like a little more like shall we say up to date, rather than making fun of everything that's not white and male.
We see that's the problem. On Monday I'm still on vacation. Not vacation, but weekend mode, right? Vacation mode too, right? But so by Friday it rolls around, I'm good to go. I'm pretty polished. Everything is good. But on Mondays, I'm still kind of out there. So random remarks like David Duchovny being a hot chick might pop out in the ether.
Oh, it happens. I mean, he's a handsome guy.
Sure.
He still looks good, and he's curmudgeon now.
He's Duchovny.
Yeah, he's a curmudgeon. Right. I don't know. I'll always say, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show. Mm-hmm. I think the first time I ever noticed him as an actor, there is this movie called The Rapture. It is a must-see movie, especially if you're a kind of a Twin Peaks kind of person or whatever. It is an effed up movie. And it's The Rapture. Meaning, what's it about? The Rapture.
Right.
So if you want to do some prep work before you see this movie, go read the last book of the Bible.
Revelations.
The book of Revelations, and you'll get prepped for this movie. It's real good. And Duchovny's in it. Mimi Rogers, who I've always...
Rogers.
And some other actors who went on to become even more famous that I can't remember now. But it's real good. And I watched it years ago, late at night on like HBO. Yeah. And couldn't sleep afterwards just because it was so twin. It was like watching Twin Peaks. You're like, but it was just kind of disturbing. And it was the movie that right when you're like, you're not going to go there, are you? Oh, you're going there.
And they went there.
Okay. And you got to love stuff like people. I don't know who directed it or wrote it, but... I think it's kind of a cult film, and Duchovny is in it, and it's Mimi Rogers. That's real good.
There was a lot of those type of movies in that sort of time. My favorite happens to be in that period.
Yes.
That sort of The Prophecy.
I knew you were going to say The Prophecy.
Christopher Walken as Gabriel.
I knew you were going to.
A young Viggo Mortensen as Lucifer, or as Satan.
No, I got
Lucifer.
it.
Lucifer.
Young Tony Soprano.
Ooh.
What's his name? Who played Tony Soprano?
Yeah.
He's one of the detectives.
Griff.
No. Griff.
Giovanna.
Yeah.
James Gandolfini. I knew I'd work my way into it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Now,
yeah.
Okay, hang on. Maybe I'm mixing up my. I got to look it up. I'm mixing up my weird movies here.
Okay.
Is it the one and they have detectives and then they'd sing the song?
Sing the song.
Wow. Okay. Maybe I got a different movie here.
It's got.
I know The Prophecy.
Elias Koteas plays the detective.
Has Viggo.
And he used to.
Okay, it is The Prophecy.
Yeah.
Because there's detectives in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's time is on my side.
Yes, it is.
That's
exactly. Yeah, they're sitting. I think when
James
that comes
Gandolfini's in it. I'm telling you.
I think they're sitting there in a diner, and that's on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, they see, it's like no Christopher Walken. I don't see him listed here, but I don't have the IMDb either. Let's look this up because it makes me crazy when I say stuff like important facts like who's in movies.
Yeah.
Forget about accuracy in the news. I mean, you've got the Washington Post and the New York Times for that. Sorry.
Wow. Sorry, Slate.
No, but when we're talking a cast and a crew of a movie, you know what we need? Viggo Mortensen, Amanda Plummer.
Yeah.
Come on. Am I thinking of a different...
Christopher Walken.
I feel like I'm thinking of a different movie now, which is kind of the same. See, Eric Stoltz was in it. Eric Stoltz was really good. He was really in it. And Walken. All right, it's a different movie.
Well, that's
See,
right.
if I check the social or someone is chatting at us or whatever, they could.
See, that's what we need. That's what I was already say. We need a guy.
Fact check.
Yeah, we need a guy that's like social media / fact check or real time fact check.
I could look online here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get comments on the Facebook, and then it's.
Hey, folks.
Doggone it.
If you want to be our fact checker, just get a hold of us, and I'll even bring donuts. I mean, it's not like we can pay or anything, but I mean, I can give you like donuts and maybe some old yogurt that's in the back of my fridge. I could do that. That sounds like a heck of a fringe benefits package. Yeah. I'm just trying to do my part.
This Last Boy Scout, True Romance. Who's in True Romance? I don't know what movie he was in. Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Get Shorty.
Yeah.
Fallen. Is that the one?
That's
I'm thinking
Denzel
of?
Washington. Where
is that the one I'm thinking
of?
That
is that sort of vibe. Yeah.
Is it? What's the Fallen?
Denzel Washington.
Homicide detective John Hobbs witnesses the execution of serial killer Edgar Reese. Soon after the execution, the killings start again, and they are very similar to the. I'm thinking of Fallen.
Yeah, he's coming back and he's possessing people's bodies.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Fallen.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm not thinking of The Prophet. Somehow, in my head.
See, it's around that time, though, right? All these movies are coming out, and they all have this sort of alternative, sort of Fallen religious overtones.
Yeah. Fallen was very good. And it very much had the magic creepiness in it. That's the one I think of. Because I think I watched them together, and I mean, no offense to The Prophecy, but I remember going, God, that Fallen movie's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
That's a good one, because it's a hard detective kind of thing. But then...
And it's Denzel, too.
This is all after Twin Peaks, though.
Right.
Like detectives, magic, evil.
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, Lynch led the way there.
Led the way, yeah. I apologize. It was Fallen. Good movie.
Yeah.
You've seen that one, too.
Fallen, yes, long time ago. But good movie.
But Prophecy is, Walken and the...
Yeah, I didn't catch that
guys.
when it was first run. Prophecy is one of those HBO movies, you late at night and you flick it over there, and it's like, hey, this is kind of cool. And of course, I'm a sucker for Christopher Walken, right? When he gets going, and he's Gabriel, and he's fabulous in that. But to me, the scene stealer of the whole movie was Viggo Mortensen. Because when he started, he comes out as Lucifer, you're like, oh my God, that is the devil right there. He just nails it. So
what's your absolute favorite Christopher Walken movie? Is it The Prophecy or something else?
Oh my gosh, that's a toughie. All time Christopher Walken movies. What was the mob one with him?
True Romance? Oh no, a different one. King of New York or something. When that wasn't that. No, I know.
It wasn't like Reservoir Dogs. Well, he wasn't in Reservoir Dogs. There was some mob movie who was fabulous, but Prophecy may be it for me because he nails it.
Yeah, I mean, he does those walk-on. Like he did a walk-on. He's done those Quentin Tarantino kind of walk-on. He's not really the star. He's kind of part of the ensemble, and he's kind of like almost like a walk-on. And True Romance, which is a if I recall, is a Quentin Tarantino story, not directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
So it wasn't him as a director, but he had written the script.
So it's
very much True Romance was very much
okay.
When you watch it, you're like, this feels
maybe
like
that's what I'm thinking about because I thought it was kind of a Tarantino thing.
He walks on as a Sicilian mafioso and has big scenes with Dennis Hopper.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a fantastic movie scene, because it's Quentin Tarantino script dialogue, and it's Walken and a couple other wise guys, and poor Dennis Hopper, the great Dennis Hopper. Come on, old in there, and that's good. The other walk-on he's got on Quentin Tarantino, the famous one, is The Watch. From This Watch. This is your birthright. From the Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
My I've got kind of a tie, and it goes way back. Oh, I could even pick a third there.
Someday you're gonna say, "Hey, I got a tie," and you're really gonna pull out a tie. I'm like, "Oh, you got me."
Well, not only not PC, but crap jokes. I'm just kidding. It's Monday. Anyway, I go way back in his career.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got a tie here because it could be a through, and I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. If you remember, one of his breakout roles was Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter, which was real intro. De Niro and John Cazale, I think, and Cazale, all those people.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that one in a long time. But two of my favorite Walkens are Brainstorm, which is famously, and this is really weird trivia. We're going to lay out some trivia, and this is true. I know this story really well. Natalie Wood's last movie.
Oh.
This was the movie she was in the process of making.
Yeah.
When she ended up off of the boat and in the water and drowned. And Robert Wagner, her husband, who was her husband at that time, Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner were together. And Christopher Walken was on the boat that they were there when she had drowned and died. And it was like, wow. But it's weird because I went to see the movie in the theater. It's a sci-fi movie by Douglas Trumbull, who's a famous he's well known for special effects. 2001, Close Encounters, some Star Wars stuff. He taught the Star Wars. I mean, he's like the grand master of the sci-fi special effects. It was his one of his that he directed and starred. So there's special effects. Have you ever seen the movie Strange Days?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Brainstorm is
Rafe
basically...
Fiennes?
Yes, Brainstorm is basically Strange Days before Strange Days, because it was like the 70s or early 80s or whatever. And it's about they make this machine, they put it on your head, and it records your experiences, and then turns out you could put it back on your head. You rewind the tape, and play it back, and like you're on the roller coaster and stuff, and it's like a military thing. Cliff Robertson is in it.
Ooh.
The great Cliff Robertson. He's like the CEO or whatever. And it's just what's her name? Nurse, the nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, Nurse Ratched?
Yes. She's in it. She's fantastic. It's really a good movie. And the bad thing about it is Natalie Wood died while they were making the movie, like right in the middle. So they had to finish the movie, and they had to do some stuff to work out. They had pretty much finished most of it, but not quite. There was still some stuff, so they had to work out. And that kind of plagued the movie.
Oh, okay.
But the story was great. The performances were fantastic. I say, if you like Walken, he goes through all kinds of emotional things. He's really interesting. He plays Natalie Wood's husband. They're both these researchers, and they're doing these weird things, and I mean, it's just it's a crazy movie. And of course, because they're recording the scene, they have to have the scene where the old research guy goes in there and puts the cap on and does a replay of someone else's private experiment.
Gotcha.
If you know what I mean.
Right. Wink, wink.
Yes, and but it's a great scene because you're like, I mean, it's totally human nature. The whole movie is like and basically all the researchers go home and try stuff and do all this stuff, right? And then the company comes in and goes, stop. Okay, you people are freaking us out because now you're doing all these things, and this is for the military and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a really good movie, and it's a great Christopher Walken movie.
Nice.
Everyone's really good in it, and I highly recommend it. It's a cult kind of film. It's kind of one of those films that I think you'd find like the Hollywood Theater playing at some point. It's like, what is this movie, Brainstorm? It's like, go watch it. I mean, it might be a little dated with the technology and all that, but the ideas, I mean, to this day, think about it. We still think about, at some point, if we put a little cap on, and you're experiencing, and you can record that, and then you can put it on someone else, and this whole like remote visioning and stuff. Defense Department that we know the Russians have worked on it. We know
a huge psych program.
U.S.
They call it remote viewing.
Yeah, remote viewing. Yeah, it's kind of about that, the remote viewing thing. And I think the premise of Brainstorm is that they're trying to do this for the military, for remote pilots in the jets and all that stuff, and then it goes awry.
What could go wrong?
Oh, it's great. It's got a great climax and kind of a progression of a story. Because if you can think of all the life experiences that you would have as a human being, and if they could be recorded and then played back for someone else to experience them, that gets a little crazy in the head, and it goes there.
Talk about the ultimate empathy, right? You actually can feel what's going on.
There you go.
Yeah,
Blade Runner, Philip K. Dick kind of stuff.
Right.
So that Brainstorm's great.
Okay.
And then he made another movie. Oh God, see, I got ties. And they're early films. The other one is Communion. Is it Communion? The one about based on a true story. Whitley Strieber, I believe, is his name.
Whitley Strieber, yes. Communion. Right.
It stars
aliens.
Stars Christopher Walken
Communion.
as Whitley.
I totally forgot Communion.
Yeah, that's a great movie, isn't it? I mean, again,
even better book. The book itself is just fabulous, man. But
the movie's based on the book.
Yeah,
and it's a Christopher Walken star.
Okay,
and the cool thing is, Walken has this range of acting. That's why I like him. And when you think of Walken, you think of the gangster in True Romance, or you think of kind of a one.
We're just kind of the offbeat guy,
right? The Continental on SNL.
I love that skits, right?
Right, they're great, but they're kind of like a one-off character, kind of a one-off character. There's kind of a characterization, right? But the thing is with Walken, he's got a lot of depth in his acting, and if you see these early movies, you're like, wow, that's Walken, man. He's taken us because the communion. It is called Communion, right?
Communion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just get that mixed up. Communication,
Yeah.
But anyway, because he goes through a lot of emotions and a lot of stuff playing Whitley Strieber. Because he's meeting the Greys and
stuff's going on,
and there's
right.
bizarre scenes too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Twin Peaks like scenes. There's one point where he just starts talking to him, and it's got some bizarre stuff. It's very, very good, very fun movie.
Speaking of the Continental, my favorite Christopher Walken skit though is the cowbell one, where he plays the producer Jerry. And because the reason why I like it so much, not only because it's Walken, he's kind of out there, but it's because here's a little bit of trivia for you. When he comes walking out in the middle of the skit, they had him. They told him, okay, you say this line, but then just ad-lib something at the end. That's like Christopher Walken-ish. And so he's like, oh, all right. And so he comes back out and he does this line, and then he looks at the guys because they're like, I don't know if I want to be doing this, the cowbell. He says, trust me. By the end of this, you're all going to be wearing golden diapers. And just when I heard when I heard later that was just him improvising and ad-libbing, told him that just make me like it even more. Walken's the dude,
Yeah, he's
you won't be wearing golden diapers.
Improv guy.
Yeah.
Communion was 1989. See, so right in there.
Yeah.
That's right in there.
Communion,
kind of peaks.
Late 80s, early 90s sort of vibe.
I think what we're talking about with Prophecy and all these, that kind of late 80s, 90s period, good film period. Like Hollywood seemed to be making movies that stand up today. Original, yes, not reboots.
Right.
He says is watching The Return of Twin Peaks, but it's not a reboot though. It's not a reboot. That's
it's just a continuation of.
It's 25 years later. Let's go back and see what happened.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like we're gonna replace all the characters with new younger actors. 901, 2, 5 peaks or something.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so and Game of Thrones is original kind of a
Charles R. Martin, his based on his books, and he's an original dude. I mean, I always have ultimate respect for authors. I put him in the realm of him and of course the master J.R. Tolkien.
Right.
I have the ultimate respect for
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Yeah. People who not only create fiction, but they've created their own world. And in Tolkien especially, I mean, he even created, languages, the elfin languages and stuff like that. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I mean,
Tolkien.
He drilled deep on that one.
Tolkien went to that world.
Yeah, but I dig that because, I mean, they not only have created a book with a plot or what have you, fiction. I mean, they built this whole intricate universe. And it's like, wow. I mean, look at the depth of the mind that can think of, that sort of totality, of...
And I keep harping on this. I want to ask about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But... That to me is David Lynch as a director and filmmaker.
Yeah.
He creates that world.
Right.
And it is always a Lynch world.
Right.
And he is, he doesn't, it's just like, this is my world, this is what I'm doing. And everyone likes working with him and says it's a joy because it's like, this is what we're doing. This is, and and not everyone understands it, but they trust him. They know he knows. It's like a dream world that he has in his head that then he brings to the screen.
He's taking you on a trip.
Yeah.
Let's go for a ride.
And so those writers, they create a whole universe.
Yeah.
What I find is interesting about Lynch is that he can take existing material and turn it into his world. Like The Elephant Man and Dune.
Yeah.
Which was very controversial at the time. And I've said this before. When I saw Dune, I was a Dune fan. I'd read all the books and everything.
Sure.
And I was like, wow, I don't know. Because storyline is really tough to do in that. But if you could step away from, you're watching a movie, you're not reading the damn book, right? And years later, as I've watched and rewatched it, it's like, no, this movie was really damn good. The visualizations of this world that was created by Frank Herbert somewhere else, Lynch worked his own thing. He did his own sets and everything, and put it in the world, and it was actually very beautiful. It was like, this makes sense, if you kind of steampunkish, kind of the weirdness, because Dune was about that. I mean, Herbert wrote about how in his universe, one of the big things is they had a war, a jihad against the thinking machines. And so so that's how a lot of that came about. They had these religious sects and everything, and they had the mentats who were the living computers and the guild navigators that would navigate. They'd have to do it all kind of with biology and not machines, because they thought the machines were going to take over the universe. And that was Herbert came up with that. Right. And then you give it to Lynch, and Lynch is like, oh, I can do this. Little Byzantine kind of feel here, and some weird 1920s technology. It's like, boom, done. It works.
Yeah.
I know. I got to get off this, but but that 80s 90s stuff. So how is the Game of Thrones going? This is season 7?
Season 7.
Wow.
And it came out with a bang. Last night's episode, I mean, they're notching it up because they let slip with the fact that they're going to be doing this year and then wrapping it up next year. And so it's getting to crunch time where...
Was it... now... I recall a few seasons ago, they basically were making the Game of Thrones, the show, and they were like, we're done with the story. Like, the guy had... That's when his books ended.
Yep.
And so then they had to come up with new material, or he had to write new material.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm not sure how that...
He didn't.
It's kind of like an Ian Fleming thing at some point. It's like, we've done all the James Bond books. Now what do we do?
They were saying, as it translated over to TV, they told him that it wasn't like that he needed to create new stuff. It's just they thought some of the stuff that he kind of put on the periphery didn't really cover that well, and they wanted to explore more of that. Especially as it falls into some character lines, and so that's where he did some minor rewriting, and but it's at first when the wife said, "Oh, you got to watch Game of Thrones," right? Yeah. And then I finally watched, like, wow, this isn't bad, and then you start getting suckered into it, and the cool thing about the show is the guy. In usual TV, the big dudes, they never die.
Right.
And this guy's through every episode. I mean, there's like a major curveball, and you're like, wow, I didn't see that happening.
Right.
So, yeah, I dig it.
It's kind of the show that is willing to kill people off, and then it's like, now figure out where the plot goes.
Exactly.
After that,
right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I thought we were invested in this person, but
and
I guess not.
And he's real good at taking like things. If you're not paying attention, you say, wow, I kind of missed something, because he'll take, like, I mean, when you watch an episode and you don't think anything of it, and then like literally 2 seasons later they talk about what happened like 2 seasons before, and it goes right into the plot. You're like, oh, that's cool. I see how the twists and turns and stuff, and it that just shows you how good of an author that guy is.
I really, 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 really want to watch it. After I found out, I'm looking to see here. I'm just checking. When I found out, Mrs. Emma Peel, Diana Rigg, is in Game of Thrones, and when I read that. About last year, I was like, "Oh, how come I'm not watching this?" Because I'm a huge Diana Rigg fan.
Yeah, her role is
love Diana Rigg so much.
Yeah,
grew up with Mrs. Emma Peel and the Avengers, and she used to do that show. She used to host back
Mystery.
in like that Mystery.
I love that show with her on
it. Perot is going into the bathroom to clean a stain off his pants.
What will the
on
little
the
Belgian
Orient
detective
Express.
do? Yeah.
On the next mystery.
Right.
Yes. No. I love Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and she's in it.
Yeah, she is. And she has a fabulous role, too. She's good.
She's like
really
did she play
good.
a queen or something like that?
Well, she
or?
plays like the Queen Dowager.
Yeah.
And
is she evil?
No.
Any characters in Game of Thrones evil? Are they
yes.
purely evil,
Yes.
or are they sort of? I'm not sure.
There's a couple, but
Okay.
see, that's the cool thing about Martin.
You never know.
Is the guy is when he writes characters. I mean, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? No character is purely good, and hardly any characters are purely bad. There's
Right.
really only one that I can think of that. She's the straight bad guy, you know. Yeah, the one who plays Cersei. Mm-hmm. And there's such fabulous acting. Like one of the major roles is Peter Dinklage.
Right.
And
he's kind of
he is good, man.
Now, would it be spoiler to ask if he's still in it? Or?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can't remember where
yeah.
I've seen his work before, but he's shown up. You know, he plays all kinds of different things, and I know when I saw him in it, it was like, oh, he's a great actor. So that's
really good.
Great.
He has one of the central roles.
Yes.
And there's a lot of other like character actors you see in there. It's like, man, these guys are pretty good. You know, I just dig it.
Wow.
I dig it.
George R.R. Martin's website is very interesting. And what's interesting about
Let's put that up there, man.
Yeah.
People can check this out.
This is George. What's very interesting about it is he's got a little spinner here.
Yeah.
With all sorts of stuff. I'm assuming that support the Westeros Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary in New Mexico. I think I've met this guy. Well, maybe not, but there's a whole wolf sanctuary movement.
Yeah.
And I met someone and interviewed someone, and it's just fascinating. Wolves are very fascinating, and they are actually, in danger. So I was it just popped up on his website as obviously he's into that. So, Mr. Martin's book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. 10 wolf dogs. About wolves, huh? That's interesting. I mean, I don't know so much about it, but his website's pretty crazy. I was just gonna look here and see how many. I'm curious how many of these books has he written?
Well, I believe in the Game of Thrones line, I believe someone's gonna have to fact check me on this one. I believe there's 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole line of it.
Huh. Okay.
So I don't know. I mean,
Song of Ice and Fire.
Right. He has different series of books.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's
right.
But I believe the Game of Thrones is like either 4 or 5 books.
He's prolific.
He's pretty prolific. Yeah.
And that's always the reason I looked that up, and I'm interested in that is because prolific writers fascinate me.
Yeah.
Because
the well of plots. You know?
When I was in college, I took literature. Yeah. I took writing. Right.
Creative writing. Oh yeah.
I took all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I studied literature and things, and I liked it. Mm-hmm. I liked English literature. I liked those things. I was also a musician and doing music too. So I kind of ended up with this thing. Which language do you want to dedicate yourself and speak in?
Yeah.
And really, it was like, sorry, music gets the nod.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. To me, I've always been my thing, right? Whether it's music or writing or any sort of art at all. To me, what I find endlessly fascinating is the creative process.
Right.
Where do you get your wonderful idea? Where does it come from? The well of lost plots and the well of the lost songwriting riff. And so I endlessly intrigued by that. People's the whole creative process.
Well, to me, it's all about learning in depth the language.
Yeah.
So if you're a writer, you you learn the language. I mean, obviously, if you're a native speaker, it comes naturally, but you learn the language of literature by reading literature. And I read a lot when I was a kid. Scientists, mathematicians learn the language of math.
Yeah.
As an art, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really see, like a Stephen Hawking or the people like that, they're scientists, but they're also almost artistically. I mean, you're creative. If you're a theoretical physicist or a mathematician or whatever, that's using your creative brain.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, because it's like, I have to come up with a formula for this, you know.
It's no mystery
and
that
you're using a language
that top physicists call, math is the language of the universe.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And so music is the same. Music is its own language. So if you study the theory and the music and all that.
Yeah.
And so, it's just where do you dedicate yourself? Yeah. Or if you're just a person who maybe just is like, no, I just want to learn a lot of different languages in the world and interpret and do that, So all of those
There's
things
even that too, etymology and where words come from, and
But it all works on your brain in a very creative way.
Yes.
Learning the language of painting and drawing, something this guy could never do. Like not never. I mean, go to training or whatever. But I'm still,
I'm a stick
my
figure.
Bob Ross is a stick figure.
Your inner Bob Ross.
Yeah. That's what I should do.
Let's put some mountains over here, shall we?
Yeah, those would be stick mountains.
That's me. Yeah,
right?
I'm a stick figure
guy. I would do well in the ancient cave days. I'd be like, that guy is doing some work there. I love the 3 toes that you made on the buffalo.
Yeah, wow, that's really great. What is that? Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
At buffalo. Oh,
but even then, the cave. If you've there was the new discoveries of cave paint. Some of the most
France.
ancient. Like this is like this is the oldest we've seen, and even those guys rival what this guy can do. I mean, it's not stick figure stuff. They're actually, making good stuff and color and everything. I mean. They're the Monets and of their time.
They are, they're the impressionists of their time.
I mean, it's not stick figures. But so all of that. But I've always been fascinated by output, by work.
Yes,
because partially I've always been like when I was in college, it was like you have this thing. Okay, here's what happens when you go to college, especially liberal arts. You're gonna wind up. Right, you're taking literature, you're doing all that great stuff, and you're like, Hemingway and all that, and you're like, if I could only...
The great American novel.
Right, the great American novel by the time I'm 24 about my generation and speak to it. It's just this altruistic, crazy, maybe not so altruistic, but this crazy idea you have in your head. Because you study the famous people, and oftentimes these people just, let's face it, poop out some great work of art before they're 30, and you're like, yes, that's what I need to do.
If Hemingway can do it, I can too.
If I could just walk the interesting streets of
Portland
and write about it,
it's gonna write itself.
Exactly.
I know it.
And every time you attempt it, it's complete crap. You're like, it's horrible. And then you have George R.R. Martin, who's just like, I mean, the only thing I ever heard from great writers that made a lot of sense, and I think there's other great writers who've said this too, but Isaac Asimov, famously, and Asimov. He wrote a few things.
Just a few.
I'm not sure how many novels he wrote, or essays, or nonfiction, or short stories, or editing. But let's just say Asimov has you can look it up. It's big.
He's got
just his novels
a robust library.
It's a big list.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they asked him, well, what's your writing process? How do you get inspired? And he basically said, every day I wake up in the morning, have some coffee, sit down at the typewriter, and I write. Like an 8-hour day. Like a just like you go to the office You check your email, get on the phone, you clock in your day.
Yep.
And I think they said, well, what happens if
if you're just not feeling it?
And he goes, I write.
Yeah.
It's just I write, right?
What was that line? It's so wonderfully simplistic because it talks about that. Writer is just like, I forget who said it, but it was writers write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you think it's going to be good or bad that day. You just do it,
right?
And the rest takes care of itself. And I'm like,
right.
And I think to myself, if only it was that easy,
Mm-hmm.
But to some people, I mean, it's just like you open up or you let down that filter and everything goes. See, that's what always intrigued me is, where do people get their ideas from? Whether it be it music or art
mm-hmm.
or writing or anything. It's like the creative process. I mean, that endlessly fascinates me because it has so much to do with each person's own individual personality and how they view the world. And so I'm also interested in the psychology of that. Like, wow, what made you think of this on this sort of line, right? Why did you follow this pattern for this? Because it's so unique and so singular
mm-hmm.
that where did it come from?
I think the point.
I'm a geek like that,
right? I think the point that Asimov is making, and that a lot of people, and especially when you see people who are really great at this, and then have a body of work as well. I think the point is that you just get into that headspace to do the work. First of all, number one, I think you can't. I don't think you could be a writer or a composer or an artist or anything if you hate doing that. No, it becomes part of your flesh. It's ingrained in you.
Right.
It is.
It's not a job. It's a passion. You got to be passionate about something.
Yeah. I mean, if you write, sitting down every day at the typewriter to write, I could imagine that you enjoy that. I mean, it may not be,
may not be
awesome.
The typing part, but it's just letting stuff go.
It may not be awesome every day, but you can't think of anything else to do with your life.
Right.
This is what you do. You know, you're a writer and you create, and it's creative, and it's certainly being a writer. All that we're talking about the creative process. So being stimulated creatively.
Yeah.
If I could say that word this morning.
The stimuli
is a huge positive to your psychology.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, at least I know from experience, you get a high. You get endorphins.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get a really low after you're done.
Right.
I don't know. But then maybe that's why you get back on the horse to ride.
That's what Hemingway was. I mean, when he wrote, he had such a high because it was so viscerally real to him that he would go through what he called the black dog. After he'd get done, he'd feel depressed almost, like it poured out. And now what? And I know as he was plagued with mental illness, his thing was, I can't write anymore. I'm afraid that I have no more ideas, and I'm nothing without that because I am an author.
That is a horrible place to be.
Right. This is what I do, and if it's not there anymore.
Hence, bad outcomes from that, especially when we're talking Hemingway. Hemingway.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna say too about writing, and this came up several years back. Mm-hmm. Is people want to write, they want to do writing, and it's like you have the best tool for writing that you ever could have now.
Yeah.
And more people read because of it, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Even though everyone wants to tell you how evil it is. But the internet.
Yeah.
When blogging came about, I was always like, look, there's your diary, and you can make it public, and you can have people read and get feedback.
Yeah.
You want feedback on your writing. This isn't like back in my day. It's like you'd write stuff and maybe you're lucky enough to go to a writing class, and then you're handing out printed, oh my God, printed paper with the whiteout and crap. Oh my word. Oh God, it was horrible. Nowadays.
Dude, I was a history major. You know how crap that was? Yeah, you need to have 35 pages done by tomorrow. And then...
Music, you have to write. There's one class called analysis.
Ooh.
And it was like, this is the hardest class. I mean, it was like the John Houseman. This is hard. If you want to become a composer.
Yeah.
Your mind is mush when you come in here, and you will leave.
We're going to mold you.
A conductor, or whatever. Yeah. And it was a really good class, and I couldn't wait to take it because I knew it would be a challenge. And it was just writing papers on pieces of music. And so the whole thing is, not only do you type it and wipe it, have to do the typing with the whiteout and all that stuff. Nobody knows what we're talking about. But then you have to put
Google liquid paper.
Musical examples. Yeah. So I spent tons of money at like Kinko's or whatever at the copy store, like copying manuscripts and cutting them out and pasting them into my reports, because I had to actually say da-da-da-da, and note the passage here, note what's happening with the French horns on the second stanza for the third motif, and notice that it then brings this back in the B2 section. Anyway.
Yeah.
I can't remember all that stuff today, but I used to be able to tell you what a sonata type was and all that.
Yeah.
Rondo. I don't know. Yeah. It was fun. But
my wonkishness was annotation. You got to footnote everything, and you have to. I mean, so you had to, and some instructors, professors, it wasn't like just a general annotation. Your thought process. Oh no, they're drilling deep on your analytical sort of, like, oh God.
Yeah, I still I was always like, I gotta keep these papers. Maybe I could sell them to another student. And of course at the end it was like you get to,
there's a business for that, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it was always like cool what you wanted to pick, and I was always like, at first you got to like do something like Mozart or whatever. It's a pretty, believe it or not, pretty standard.
Yeah.
But then it gets, and toward the end of the semester or the class or whatever it is, it gets to a point and you're like, okay, what are you going to do now? And it's like, I'm going to do
Aaron Copland.
Wagner, Copland, Stravinsky, I'm like, hey, give it to me. And partially, the little key piece that I had is I was a percussionist drummer, so nobody, it's really weird, but at that time, the students, they didn't have the rhythmic analysis much because they didn't have the background. And so I'd take the stuff where like, there's a lot of rhythmic analysis here I could do, And the professor was like, thank God someone's doing something different,
Right.
Okay, but...
Right.
But then you're like...
Quit worrying about the strings.
I'm going to be really nerdy about music for a second.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this has changed in the years since I've been in college, but there came a point with Wagner, the German opera, where it'd be like, I've analyzed this, chords and stuff this way, and the professor would go, yeah, that's your opinion. That's one way to see it. Another way to see it is this way or that way, or it's just a bunch of notes jumbled together. And it was like, wow, dude, really? You're the professor of music, you play in the symphony, and you're telling me that maybe this dude just put it. It's like, well, because there's a certain like really these tones, and they're beautiful. They work. It's like playing a synthesizer. They're orchestrated, and you hear that sound, you go, go to a movie or whatever and see, like, John Williams, and you're like, wow, what is that sound that he's got out of the orchestra? But when you look at it on the page, you're like, what the hell? Is this a C chord? No. What is this? This is like, something.
Or maybe it was just a guy like, okay, sounds good. Yeah, you just write it down. And so, that's it.
And that was Stravinsky at one point.
Yeah.
That was pretty much what he did. He locked himself in a
looking
room
for deeper
with a
meaning,
piano,
right?
Like, I call it the rites of spring. It came to me, and it was like brilliant. And then everyone threw tomatoes and didn't understand it for like 50 years.
Well, and as a student, you're looking for the deeper meaning, right? The hidden gem. Oh, that's what he was doing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, you know, you just.
But I kind of, that was my thing. It was like, learn all I could learn, right? Learn all I could learn about music. And then take all that, throw it out the window, and go Stravinsky and go, okay, now I'm going to just go do this and see what comes out of my head.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, writing, I think, is cool like that, too. When you get a really good writer that's just like, what the what? You know?
Right, yeah. Where did you come up with that?
Yeah. So there's your creative process for an hour.
Right. That's right.
Anyway.
On a Monday. Hello, everybody. And you thought it was just going to be a light, let's ease our way into the
Mondays
week.
are always interesting. You never know. Mondays are like a box of chocolate, Jason.
That's rather Gumpian.
Yeah. Never know what you're going to get.
That's right. That's right. Of course, we got to take it to a higher level, so we're calling it Gumpian.
Yeah.
It's rather Gumpian.
And Fridays are like shrimp.
Oh, yeah. Fridays are just...
Speaking of writing, so there's been, I don't know, there's some news. Speaking of writing, Jared Kushner is writing.
On 11 pages?
Is it 11?
11
I didn't
pages?
read it.
Talk about nervousness.
What's going on in the news today, Jason?
Well.
In hour 2 of our news block.
That's right.
We
Hello,
would do the
everybody.
news if someone paid us.
Right. Yeah, if someone paid it, we'll talk about the news all day.
Figure that out, too, by the way. But anyway.
Now, Kushner is now in front of the Senate Intelligence Panel.
The headline is I
door.
did not collude in the headline here.
Right, yeah. And usually people, if you don't know, that usually when you go in front of either a House Select Committee or the Senate or a Senate committee.
What is this? A House, Senate?
This is Senate.
Okay. Oh, that's the big boys.
That's the big boys. And
ladies.
Yeah, ladies and gents. But no, it is standard protocol that you write some remarks or even what you're going to say. Some of them even write down verbatim what they're going to say, and you present it to the Senate. I don't know. I would say maybe up to a week before you do it. Mm-hmm. That way they kind of know what you're going to say. And I think he got a little nervous because they're usually like maybe 1-2 pages. You know, this guy wrote an 11-page novella. You know,
but maybe he thought he was turning it in for a grade.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But I think he overdid it. You know, oh look, I'm going to I'm going along with what you guys are saying. So here, 11 pages. But I don't know. I don't know how much we're going to find out because it is behind closed doors. And also, I mean, there's one term that I just cannot stand now. The term rolling disclosure. Just say what it is. Yeah, you don't want to admit the truth, so you give it out in spits and spurts. When they prove you wrong, you say something, they prove you wrong. Well, yeah, but it was this. And then they find out it was more than that. But it was that. And it's like, I didn't have any meetings with Russians. Turns out he had at least 4.
Rolling down the highway.
Right.
Getting ready for disclosure.
Dun, 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 dun.
Born to be drunk. Born to be drunk. There you go.
Get Trump's motor running. He's lying on the highway.
On Twitter.
Going on the Senate.
Yeah.
Right. Al Franken. Oh, sorry. I just got carried away.
I think we got a tune in the works here.
We do. We do. We got a whole soundtrack.
Rolling disclosure by way of Born to be Wild. I love it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
I just was going to point out as you were talking here, this is what we're doing right now. This is this was from the actually out on the Los Angeles Times, and what we're looking at, it's ABC News Live. Coming up on ABC News, special report, Jared Kushner delivers statement at 10:15 Pacific, they're saying, which is right now. And we're staring at the White House, I believe. Back garden, and there's a Marine Guard. The Marine Guards are those folks at the White House protected.
This is
and
all
the guy keeps opening the door and people coming out.
Right. Yeah, this is all the Mooch's new grand plan. You know the Mooch, right? Scaramucci, new communications director.
Did we put up the... we got a Huckabee sighting.
Ooh.
That looks like a Sarah Huckabee sighting.
Right.
The new press secretary.
We have just been Huckabeed.
Yes. Yeah, people running in and out. Washington is such a fun, crazy place. Yes, I was going to... actually, they released some photos, which I sent you, of the new communications director, Scaramucci.
Yes, the Mooch.
I believe I sent you these, and these were very important. These are some new breaking photos that we have released from the White House. And,
he's not the Fonz. He's the...
There he is. He's the Mooch. He's got his motorcycle. He's got Sarah Huckabee on the back of the motorcycle.
Hey.
And, we're waiting for him to jump the shark, right?
Mooch is jumping the shark.
Is the Mooch going to jump the shark? Hey.
The second he took that position, he jumped the shark.
What was this one here? Not to worry, I know some guys, first they come in with the bada bing, and then they bring the bada boom.
Yeah.
So there's your Italian-American funny.
Get that deep Brooklyn accent, right?
Yes.
Forget about it.
It's done. I mean, New York, right?
God, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend people, but I'm just going to say...
No, Jason.
No, it's not normal. But the guy is so creepy, though. The Mooch. Have you ever listened to him talk?
Here we go. We got a little something. What do you think? Should we?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Breaking news. We're actually
live on the scene.
Reinvigorating America's innovative spirit. Every day, I come to work with enthusiasm and excitement
when you're
for what
reinvigorating
can
America's spirit, and you're talking about
I have not sought the spotlight. First in business, and now in public service.
Okay.
I have always focused on setting and achieving goals.
All right.
And have left it to others to work on media and public perception. Since the first question...
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we're not going to... Who knows what they're going to do.
Yeah. I didn't meet with the Russians 4 times.
Is he going to resign?
No. They're digging in, man. That's the reason why they hired the Mooch.
I mean, that's what we're watching here is
The Mooch is all about trench warfare, man.
Yeah?
Yep.
Dunkirk?
Oh, yeah. We're talking. Verdun, the Somme.
Oh yeah.
Deep trench warfare. So get ready, folks.
I'm curious. So he's not going to resign, you know?
No. As the pressure has been building. How does this guy? Let me ask you this question. I don't want to get political, but how does
no, right?
How does this guy have a security clearance? How in the heck does some dude...
Well, I mean, I think at some point when you're elected, you can just get anything you want. I mean, really.
But he lied on his stuff, though. How's he still got one? Why didn't they pull it?
I
didn't have it. It's him and Sessions both.
Yeah, come on.
Flagrant lying about this.
That Flynn guy?
Right.
I mean, it's like, that form, that form, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is weird because I was fair and balanced. Oh God, I know. I cut them.
We report, you decide.
I cut them. Yeah. I cut them a break because I was like, okay, maybe you don't fill out the form. They don't know. Maybe. He just left.
Oh,
what happened?
Advisor inside the West Wing, heading back into the West Wing.
I did not collude with Russia, so he split. So I'm gonna say,
screw you guys! I'm going back inside.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. It just so we got nothing. You could watch it. We worry about this is live, but we worry about playing things because
copyright.
Cranky.
Yeah.
And that was ABC News Live, although it is news and fair use.
Yes.
By copyright law.
Yes.
Don't ever forget that. No matter what the algorithm does on your social sites.
We're just using journalistic standards here,
But
folks.
there was there's no headline bombshell that he resigned or anything. No. That's what I was kind of hoping for.
I didn't collude.
Forget this crap. I'm going away. No. He spent 2 hours being questioned, and then he came out and said he did not collude. And pretty much that was a quick statement too. He's done. He was done. We started it right when he started it.
Yeah.
So what was that? A good five minutes?
Yeah.
I want to say he did 5.
He clocked in pretty. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, reporters. I did not conclude. Bye now.
Yeah.
And he turns around and
Didn't
goes
take
back
any
in.
questions.
I got to go back in and be briefed by the mooch.
Huh.
Yeah.
But anyway, I gave him the benefit of the doubt at first because I was like, and there's always this thing about is it illegal? Is it not? You know, but you meet.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you're powerful. You meet with a lot of people, and sometimes that's not a thing. But you should be pretty thorough. It says here, foreign agents. You go, okay, who did we meet with?
Yeah.
But your rolling disclosure points are well taken at some point, and it seems that each and every time there's more, like the session stuff is the stuff that's really questioning, and as you know,
so shady.
Doc is fine with that because Doc doesn't think Jeff Sessions is good for America as Attorney General.
Oh, you mean Jefferson Beauregard Sessions?
Yeah.
Well, Foghorn Leghorn himself.
I mean, and trust me, my West Coast Democrat friends, none of us want that.
Yeah.
But who knows what we would get in replacement? Oh boy.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, I don't know. You get rid of Sessions, Rosenstein's back there, and I don't think he's that sympathetic to Trump's, which means he's going to install another one, which would not be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This whole
anyway, so yeah,
I did not. I love it. I did not collude. I'm gonna throw something out there. I'm spitballing right now, so take this with a grain of salt. My prediction is within 48 hours there will be like real like video or audio proof that he did collude. I love that. I had nothing have like Sessions. I did not have any meetings, and literally the next day, the Post or the New York Times comes out with you did. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It'll be an ongoing drama for for as long as it happens. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're still in the early days of this, folks.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, 6 months, right? 6 months.
Yeah, we're only 6 months in. This
6 months
sucker.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Watergate took 2 years. I mean, so we're still in the infancy on this, but
this is a good. Oh, let's do a feel good story,
shall we?
Yeah, for once.
And then we'll talk about implants after
if it comes up. This was we watched Jared Kushner's statement. No, we really didn't, but you can go back and watch it. This was KOIN, and there's a video here. Man recreates Multnomah Falls using 80,000 Legos.
That's dedication.
Yeah. This is according to KOIN. Many people played with Legos. This came over The Wire, as we call it, The Wire, this weekend. Many people play with Legos growing up, but one Portland man did. You know what? This is Lego artists. People do art with Legos, okay? Yeah. KOIN. Hey, this is like Forbes finding out about edibles. It's like, hey, KOIN, actually people do this. Adults, they're artists.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Exactly. Eric Matheson's replica of the waterfall stands at more than 8 feet tall, and it's 80,000 Legos. I was looking for a picture here. They got a video. We won't play the sound on this, but if it plays, who knows? No, it's... Don't get me started about news organizations whose videos should...
So, Doc, what do you think about news organizations? Don't get me started.
Here's a little bit of it here. Look at this thing right here. That's what it looks like.
Wow.
8 feet tall.
Wow.
80,000 Legos.
How do you do the trees? Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, they got those different Legos now. There's the falls, whatnot.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, that according to KOIN. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, there he is. Standing. Oh, that's a good photo.
He had a full head of hair before he started.
Yeah. Okay. Denigrate the artist, Jason.
Well, listen.
That's good.
No, I'm not. I can sympathize.
You could have a job in the White House Communications Department. I really think
Call
you should.
me.
Yeah.
No.
That's a lot, though. 80.
Listen, as a
8
guy,
feet tall.
yeah, as a guy who's follically challenged like myself,
Right.
I understand the bald thing, man. Us bald guys, we stick together. We got a union.
We've been, importantly, following this story.
Okay.
Doing my best Rachel Maddow right now.
Yes.
Salvador Dali. What we know of Salvador Dali.
Yes.
We have talked about this. His body has been exhumed.
Yes.
And this is let's refresh people what it was. It's a paternity case.
Mm-hmm.
This lady claims to be his daughter, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so the court said...
Dig him up.
They can dig poor Salvador Dali's body up and look at it.
Yes.
Did we talk about this last time?
Yes, we talked about it on Friday, how they took it.
The results of the exhuming the body?
Well, we talked about the different pieces they took DNA from.
Okay.
Like his mustache, and they took a little bit of skin sample.
They said that his mustache was intact.
Yeah. That must be some heck of some wax that they use on him, because holy cow.
And his body is mummified.
He's not going away, dude. He's his own work of art.
Yeah.
He's
that's
around.
kind of the thing. Oh, geez, there's the casket and everything.
Yeah.
This is a little gruesome, but
yeah,
they said his body was mummified, much like the consistency of wood. So they couldn't use a scalpel.
No, they had the chisel.
Yeah.
Took a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Whack off a piece of a stash.
Okay, well. Anyway, so yeah. Poor Salvador Dali.
Right. I mean, this is the guy who did the melting clock.
The kind of artist he was, I almost feel like he's looking down, going, "Yeah,
Dadaism."
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of
he's grooving it.
One of the cooler stories I came across this weekend, if it loads, and it's so beautiful. This is on Vice, and I believe this guy, he's like 60, and I believe he actually works for Vice. Look at this. This was the cover photo. That's Joan Jett eating French fries.
Nice.
So this guy, this is just an awesome story. This teen took candid photos of the 70s biggest rock stars. Photographer Brad Elterman relives his glory days of shooting David Bowie, Joan Jett, Bob Dylan, and Kiss. Wow. 42 years ago,
it's like Almost Famous.
Yeah, it totally reads like Almost Famous. Yeah. It totally reads like that. 42 years ago, Brad Elterman skipped school, drove to a recording studio in L.A., and tried to photograph David Bowie. He got the shot, which led to a spread in Cream magazine and the start of a whirlwind career.
Nice.
He was still a teenager of the era's greatest riding cars. And so there's a picture of him. And what the story was, this is, you're going to love this. I will show. Flo and Eddie, the Turtles, backstage at a Kiss concert.
Yeah, they're even dressed up.
There they are, dressed up as Kiss.
Nice.
Backstage at a Kiss concert. There's Kiss. And so basically, this kid, he just started photographing. And one of his things was not like the typical concert shots or whatever. They were all like candid shots.
Yeah.
He wanted backstage. He wanted behind the scenes. He wanted to show you what they were like the great photo on the cover of this of Joan, and he loved Joan Jett too. So it was like, I love Joan Jett too.
Eating fries, yeah.
Well,
that's cool.
Joan was like, she was like the icon and the epitome of rock and roll and kind of punk, and I mean, and she still is today. She still tours. Isn't that, how great is that, right? Joan Jett is still out there doing her thing, Yeah,
like fresh from the Runaways, she's kind of that hard rock punk
He's
sort of thing.
He's got some pictures of her at the Whiskey Go-Go that it's just like, it must have been just like the beginning of the Runaways. She looks like she's like
15.
Yeah, no,
She's just a
looks
baby.
really, really young, and it was
Yeah.
like, wow, that Joan is young there. But anyway, so he got all his
Wow.
stuff published, backstage. This is here's a picture of. I'm gonna see if I can make this. This is Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols.
Oh, right, yeah.
Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols comes over to his first apartment, which has a pool, to go swimming. So he's like, okay. Just shot some pictures. So just like...
Just hanging out with the guy of Sex Pistols, you know.
Yeah, and Joan Jett at Santa Monica Pier, eating
Nice.
French fries. Great photo. And she's just got that look on her face like, what are you doing, you know? Michael Eisner and Travolta. You can look at... This is all up on Vice, because I believe he
Is that Travolta?
Yeah, Travolta and Olivia Newton-John at the premiere of this. I like this one.
Is that Frampton?
They talked about this here. I'll shoot you a little. This is Frampton coming out of the porta potties before a concert, and that's his road manager, Mr. Tiny,
Right.
who's gigantic. If you look at the photograph, I mean, sure, but I mean that guy's big.
Right.
So yeah, he's got a lot of these great photos. Andy Warhol, and all just candid behind the scenes. There's another Joan Jett one in the background there. Kiss, you'd like that. So just check it out. There's another Joan Jett at with the Quicks. Danny Wilde on the floor at the Whiskey A Go Go in 1977. Go check this out. Blondie, David Byrne. Anyway,
wow, so cool.
go check it out on Vice. It's like, I really dug that story. I love stuff like that, nostalgia. Also, the story, like you say, it's just like almost famous.
Yeah.
It's like the kid just maybe he was partially inspiration for that movie.
Yeah, because while most of the media guys are getting shunned, I mean, most guys, okay, it's just a kid with a camera, you know. Come on, kid, let's take some photographs. But it's kind of cool because it points to not only the times, but how accessible these people were. Yeah, sure. Come on, kid. Hang out with me on the docks of the Santa Monica Pier. We'll get some fries and hang out. You know.
Well, I was just saying, you had accessibility, and you just go hang out. And
nowadays, I mean, there's whole entourage of
see the rock,
Yes
the whole
Men and
rock and roll, and that it's a big industry, big business. I think what I like about it is back in those days, the 60s, the 70s, rock and roll was really DIY. And if you look at these famous people like this, who were behind the scenes, like photographers, managers, promoters, they were all DIY.
Yeah.
They would just meet a band and go, okay, I like these guys. We're going to do stuff with these guys.
Yeah.
Like I think it's called Danny Says documentary is great documentary if you've ever seen it, because he was the rock and roll tastemaker, and he was very responsible for bringing.
I like the cut of these guys'
Ramones.
jibs.
Yeah. When other people were like, I don't know, because rock and roll was just so weird. I mean, you would have. The establishment kind of music, and then you'd have Iggy Pop. Well, what do you do with that? Because that's crazy,
right? Or Joey Ramone.
The Ramone. You'd have these bands like in the punk days, where it's like, well, they can't even play. Really, they can't play well. You know what? They're going to be big stars. And it's like, boom. Actually, there's a photograph.
The It Factor.
Yeah, there's a photograph he has here in that story on Vice of behind the scenes of making of the movie Rock and Roll High School. The Ramones are sitting in the convertible, and so I mean he just went everywhere. But the big deal with what he brought to the table was he was the guy who just would get the candid photographs. Yeah, the everyday photographs. And if you think about rock and roll journalism, like Cream magazine, and what are the others that were? Well, there was Teen Beat, of course, which was the
creme de la creme, Rolling Stone.
But there, there's music. He did a bunch
Hit Parader.
Hit Parader. Yeah.
Even back then, it was 16 magazine and. Tiger Beat, remember those? All those kind of fodder.
Cream and Hit Parader were more like the rock and roll ones, if I recall. and he sold a bunch of stuff to Japanese magazines because, come on, the Japanese like. If you have American stuff, sure, but the Japanese, like, wow, look at all this
live
stuff.
at the Budokan.
Yeah. But anyway, so his big thing is this behind the scenes stuff, which when you think about that kind of journalism, rock and roll journalism, when you think of photography in that way, that's all you think about.
Yeah.
Is non-posed, I'm gonna full page spread article
Every
on Rockstar,
day,
and it's like there's Dio walking down the street, or something or whatever. It's always like that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's not the posed photograph. Hey, here's my promo shots.
Yeah, you want them all natural. What are these guys doing when the cameras aren't on them?
Right. It's always like, David Cassidy, and there's a few lady fans there, or whatever, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, they never do that anymore. And see, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we have all these paparazzi guys that are trying to catch these guys.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, if I was like a rock star, let's say I'm famous, right? And I'd
You
some
are
kid,
a rock star.
Oh, gosh, some kid with the camera. Yeah, cool. Follow me around. I mean, if you really think my life is that wonderful, you're gonna find out real quick that it's pretty pedantic.
I'm more the Pink Floyd kind of guy.
Roger Waters.
Yeah, I'm more the recluse kind of the
Neil Peart.
Get
out of the room. I don't want to talk to you.
I would be. I do the promotional thing.
Sure.
Right. The staged promotional thing
you're
for the work.
You're the Marshawn Lynch of rock stars. You're like, hey, Doc. I'm only here because I'm contractually obligated to be here. So because you remember the guy from the Seahawks, right? Marshawn Lynch. It's the Super Bowl and it's press day, and he hates the press. And so every line he always said was, "I'm here because I'm contractually obligated."
See, I kind of. You kind of love and hate that.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, it's like, you're privileged, dude. You should be happy and take it. So don't be such a jerk about it.
But on the other
hand, he's giving you reality.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I'm watching these because the Twin Peaks, Comic-Con was this weekend of week. We didn't mention that on Friday.
No, you're right.
San Diego, the Comic-Con of all Comic-Cons, which is San Diego.
The granddaddy of them all.
Yeah. So, they have all the people show up with all the stuff. Twin Peaks showed up, and they did a panel.
DC and Marvel.
I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones did one. They did one for Westworld, which I watched a bit of that. It was
Ed Harris, right?
Yeah. Ed Harris showed up.
Nice.
He was on the panel, Ed Harris. And that was the thing. It was like, I watched a little of it because it was like, dude, Ed Harris is actually on the panel. The Ed Harris.
I would sit and listen to him for an hour talking about stuff.
It wasn't that good.
Really? Ed didn't bring
it wasn't Ed's fault, by the way. Yeah, I can't remember.
Bad moderator? Well, see, we need to get...
some of the comments were like, dude,
we need to get Doc Houseland in there. She's a wonderful moderator.
Yeah.
Get her in there.
Well, the Twin Peaks... I thought the Twin... And these videos, I was saying before the show started, I'm like... they're not produced by my company.
Right.
By the way, if you ever need really good event video...
You're the guy.
Shoot me in.
Right.
You got the contact info there. Shoot it to me. See what we can do for you. Little plug there.
There you go.
But like the the Twin Peaks panel was moderated by Damon Lindelof, the J.J. Abrams guy, Lost.
Okay, that's where I heard his name from. Yeah,
huge writer, big Hollywood writer.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Twin Peaks. Like he's like, Twin Peaks made me want to be a writer and all that stuff. So he was already a fan, and he was a good moderator. He did a good job. Everyone there on the panel got to speak, and they did the audience participation and everything. So that Twin Peaks was good.
Yeah. I've noticed that if you're a fan, or if you generally really like some, that makes you a good moderator because you know what questions to ask because you dig it.
Yeah.
And you got questions yourself, right?
Some of these moderators on these panels, con panels. I mean, I'm trying not to call out anybody, but I have noticed sometimes it's the moderator and not the panel.
Oh,
and if you're going to a panel at a freaking thing, the moderator is asking questions
and be quiet.
Step away from it, you know. And when they start out with like a 10 minute thing about what they think about the show or whatever, and the people are sitting there going, "Thought we're here to answer questions." You know,
right.
Come on.
Not here to see what you say. I want Shatner. Can you please have a
Yeah. So that's kind of my issue. But so the Twin Peaks one was pretty good. Lindelof was like really well and wanted to interact with the people and wanted to answer questions. Of course, they can't even say anything about anything that's going on in the show, but at least they can, you know, stuff. And so the Westworld one was like, I mean, they have this whole kind. I mean, they had Jeffrey Wright on there too, the great who's main star of the show. The only person they didn't have was Anthony Hopkins, but they have him. They have Ed Harris right there. Yeah, and you're like, and so the whole time I was looking at it like Ed Harris, and I'm thinking contractual obligation. Like it really was like. I mean, it was cool that he was there. But Ed Harris doesn't strike me as a Comic-Con kind of a guy. No, he looks like he's all business. Yeah, you know? And he looks like he's just kind of sitting there. Well, the right stuff, right? He's all business. Well, he's a great actor. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been in some of the great, I think The Right Stuff is one of his earlier films, but he pops up in very all stern. Kinds. Yeah, he's a wonderful actor. Yeah. The Abyss. The Abyss. That movie was great, and Ed was great, and the gal who was in it too. Wow, Master Antonio. Yes. Okay, that was a great movie. Just for sheer drama. Oh my word! It was a sci-fi, but still, it was like right. That wasn't Ridley Scott, was it? I mean, it was like Cameron. Was it Cameron? I don't know. Cameron Crowe? No, James Cameron. Yeah, I think it was James Cameron. Cameron Crowe turns into someone. No, I think it was James Cameron. But boy, that scene will always stick in the first time I saw it, and I think I watched it on cable a lot. Even this, and I just was like, I am shaking now. Right? Is any time you have drowning? Yeah, where they're sucking in the amniotic fluid stuff. Whoa. Yeah, they got me too. Freaks me out. Yeah. Anyone who's been a kid and you're in the swimming hole and something goes wrong but you're still here. Yeah. Drowning scenes freak me out. I'm just gonna say it right there. If you put a drowning scene in a movie, and if you do it well, like they do in The Abyss, right. I'm going to be shaking today, and I will go, good on you, Abyss, for getting me in that emotional state. You touched me, even though I maybe didn't want to be touched there. Right. Oh, yeah. That was a great movie. On the doll, point to it. No. Hey, listen, Jason Trivia, number 274. When I was a little shaver, I'm talking like maybe 5 or 6, I almost drowned. And to this day, this is why I've never learned how to swim. I'm deathly afraid of. Was it a pool or Oregon City swimming pool? Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. Everything went black, and next thing you know, I'm laying on the side of the thing, and they're pumping water out of me. I was a little shaver. Did they actually have to pump you? Oh yeah. Wow. Everything went black, and I was out, like a light. Wow. And that's why today I'm deathly afraid of water. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting because I had a similar experience around that same age. Yeah. This one was the backyard pool. Oh, geez. I think I was younger than that, though. I think it was like 4 or something, the backyard pool. Talk about impressionable, right? Talk about a time when you just let your 4-year-old go in the pool alone without supervision. Right. While you're smoking your cigarettes, making your hamburger helper. We grew up in a different time, folks. Playing mumbly peg with steak knives. Yes, exactly. It happens. It was like, well, You either survive or you don't. That's Darwin's way.
My childhood can be summed up best as survival of the fittest.
Yeah,
right?
This is how we, clear the herd.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm in the back in the pool.
Yeah.
And I've got like a water thing.
Oh, yeah.
A floater thing.
Inner tube thingy bobber.
And what do? I slip out and go under.
Oh.
It was like a 3-foot pool, but still.
But still, when you're an old dude.
That was like being in the deep end. And, things were going gray and black. And I'm...
Yeah.
Somehow, I think... I was yelping, I gulp. It was the whole drowning thing. Yeah. And I'm like flaying, and I think someone got a clue and came out leisurely, I believe. Yeah. My dad leisurely came out. It was like, could you get here? And kind of pulled me up out of the thing. And, the whole coughing with the whole chlorine coming out of here.
Out of every orifice.
Yeah. Yeah. But I did not have to be revived. But things were going dark.
Oh, yeah. Things went full on black with me, man.
Wow, man.
Next thing you know, they're pumping on me, and
See, I had to.
Yeah.
Well, I was forced to learn to swim. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
That would freak me out.
Thrown into the pool, kid, you're either going to learn.
No, it's like, go up on that diving board. That's the next lesson. It's like, I'm not so good at it. No, get your butt up there.
Gee, thanks, Dad.
Back when the YMs whatever wasn't the fun place that the that the village people sang about.
Right. This is pre-village people, utilitarian.
Like, bring us your kids here before work, and we'll throw them in the pool.
The deep end.
If they drown, we thinned out the herd.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know this, but the place used to be called in the old days. It was the YMCAD.
Oh,
it was for Darwin. That's where they took people in the pool and they shoved them off in the deep end. And
being a kid,
welcome to the YMCAD.
Yeah, believe me, it felt like it. I mean, I came from this family that had half the family loved to swim, were strong swimmers, and the other half, my dad, never learned to swim, never went.
My parents
near the water
never either.
And it was like, which one will you be? We're gonna throw you in the water and stuff. And it's like, and your dad's doing it too. And it's like, Dad, you don't even swim, dude. What the hell are you doing? You always have those classic stories like, well, how'd your grandpa learn to swim? Well, your great grandpa threw me in the Rio Grande, and I learned to swim. And you're like,
right.
You're like, what if you didn't? What if they just threw you in the Rio Grande and you just sunk like a log and drowned?
Right. What if you were a part of the equation of the sink or swim where it's not swim, you're sinking?
No, back in those days, Grandpa would then light a cigarette.
Right. No more air bubbles are coming out. You may want to retrieve them.
Well, that didn't go as planned.
Right. They grab you by the hair, and you're being plucked out. Yeah. Yeah, my parents didn't know how to swim either. Both my older brothers, they swam like fish. Me, nope.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing you have to do. And that was always fun. Oh, boy. Because if you wanted to go out and canoe, which was like, oh, canoe,
gotta have swim.
I like canoe.
Yeah.
Little sailboat, rowboats. I mean, I dug all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just like, I'll sit in here and the water could be out there.
Right.
But they were like, yeah, but bro, you need to learn how to swim because what if the canoe sinks and stuff? And by the way, that's a test on your canoeing. It's like, what? It's like, you got to swamp it and survive. Like literally, we actually, you had to, back in the day, if you took canoeing, your final for the merit badge was you get in an emergency situation. You swamp the canoe. You swamp the canoe and you have to get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And same with the rowboats. It was crazy. We were like, man, we're just little
or it could be like
tenderloin scouts and we're doing this stuff.
It could be like the Navy, where you have to take off your own pants, tie it in knots, and then it create an air thing.
Well, yeah. And then you got scoutmasters and they're all like, right, what is like a typical Scoutmaster dad gonna be?
Ooh,
ex-Marine, ex-Navy,
the man's man.
Yeah, so they're all gonna be like, yeah, get out there, sink your boat,
right?
Go,
Just
Damn
my.
it, we did this test in the Navy.
Yeah.
Show me better. It's like suddenly you got De Niro. You can't handle the truth. You know,
Right.
it's like, what are we, Guantanamo Bay or Spirit Lake? I don't know.
Yeah, just my luck that my scoutmaster is like Yule Gibbons, right?
Yeah, the great, your scoutmaster is Robert Duvall, the great Santini, right? You know, it's like, holy crap, dude.
I want a Christopher Walken. You get in there and swim.
Yeah.
Nice backstroke. Yeah.
This merit badge is your birthright. Your grandfather carried this up his rear end in the Nam.
For 5 miles.
Yeah. I don't want the merit badge, Chris. I really don't.
Right. Wow, if you have to carry it like 5 miles up your rectum, what does the marriage badge even look like?
Jason.
How do you...
In literature, we leave things to the imagination.
Oh!
We don't have to ask questions like that. Man, you are on fire today.
Metaphor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's a metaphor?
You're like George Lucas going back and re-editing the films. It's
Yeah.
like, I think Darth Vader should scream no, 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 no at the end of this.
Yeah.
Why? It's just a close-up of his face. Luke is dying. The lightning bolts are coming out. But he doesn't have to look back and forth and go, no, 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 no.
Right.
We know he's thinking, no, 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 George. Why?
But Doc.
Anyway.
If I don't ask these questions, who is? I'm providing a much needed public service.
It's the original theatrical.
Oh.
Not the redubs.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll work on it.
I mean, you're the guy who would come in here and put CGI and new jokes on this podcast. And just run it into the ground. Which is scatological humor.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Heavy on the word scat.
People are like, wow, Doc's really hard on Jason.
No, someone's got to put my feet to the fire. Left to my own devices, it's not pretty. So,
someone's got to be the senior
You've been talking to my wife again, haven't you?
There you go.
You guys are talking about collusion.
Yes, exactly.
No, hey, listen, people need to put my feet to the fire on
she
stuff.
Said, start slapping your hands or whatever.
And that's different from any other day. How? No,
someone's got to be the senior patrol leader here.
Right. That's true.
Jason, you're violating the handbook. The scouting.
I'm the tenderloin.
You know, one of these days.
Yeah.
Somewhere back. I mean, we do have to do a show and tell, and one of these days I need to. Those books are around.
Okay.
Like the original books.
Okay.
Like the feel, and they're cool.
Oh,
you know, I mean, they're like, what
Scout?
happens when your tenderloin colleague gets bitten by a snake? Well, first thing you do is get your pocket knife out, rip his flesh.
Yeah.
Put your grimy lips on that thing and suck out the venom.
I'm gonna.
It's like a freaking Bogart High Sierra movie or something, man. It's like
Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
I know, right? It's like, what the hell?
Okay.
This is the stuff that you're reading. It's like, and as a scout,
yeah,
you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, at some point late at night, you're with your other scouts going, wouldn't it kind of be cool if one of the dudes got bitten by a snake and we had to rip his flesh with our pocket knives and suck the venom out? And it's like, yeah, that would be interesting.
Can we make that happen?
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
can we make...
I think there's a snake pit over there. Maybe we should go hiking over there with the
lure
Donnie scout. Yeah.
What's that, Donnie? Let's get Donnie Jenkins. All right, let's do Donnie over there. Go on there and look. I'm gonna blow your mind. You ready for this?
Kushner did not collude? No.
No. My father, I don't know why he saved him, but he had two Boy Scout manuals.
Mm-hmm.
One was from the 50s.
Oh, yes.
And then one...
Yes.
You ready for this? One was his father's. It was from the 30s.
Oh, you got to bring those in.
I don't have them.
Oh.
For somewhere along the line, they got lost or whatever. And I remember, as a kid, I remember being a teenager and looking at it like, wow, this is pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, the old. I mean,
thick, too. One of them was like...
Oh, yeah.
It was like the Old and New Testament thick.
Yes, they are. I mean, the two of them, the two we had is you have the Boy Scout manual, which every Boy Scout has to have.
Yeah.
And that's the manual. And I think I think it goes through. See, now I don't even remember what's in the Boy Scout manual. Well, you have an oath, you have the laws, you have the pledge. You have all that stuff, right? All the important stuff in there. And then
the fundamentals.
Pledge of Allegiance and, maybe a few songs or something. History of the Scouts maybe is in there. See, I don't even know anymore. We have to get it out to see, well, what the hell's in this thing? But I think
I'm sure it's online.
I think it tells you, no, but we have to get the book. I have the book somewhere. But I think it tells you each state, here's what you have to go through and then Eagle Scout, right? And so you have that. And then there's the field book, which is just the camping and the survival and all that, and
the meat and potatoes of it.
That's just the camping and the survival, and so that's a real good one too. I mean they got you in mind. I mean they got you foiling up baked potatoes and putting it on the engine block on your desk. Your dad opens up, car's not running right. What the hell is this breakfast doing on my engine block? Dad,
what did you do to my Pinto?
I read it in the field book. We're cooking some meat and potatoes, Dad.
That's right. Pancakes
on
almost
the
ready.
Engine block, we have a stove. We even have a camp stove. You don't have to cook this on the engine block.
Right.
That's a real thing. You know that?
Oh, yeah.
You're aware of that, right?
I'm aware of that,
the foil cooking, you go on the road trip. I never could figure out how you keep it on the engine block. That was the thing, or maybe you put it
near any heat source,
in between the pistons or whatever.
Yeah.
I was always seal that up real nice with the foil, because all the nasty oil and engine gunk going, this potato has, gosh, we don't need any butter. It's already pre-oiled.
Right. Would you like some Pennzoil on that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But anyway, those books, gosh, if you found those, I would actually...
I wish. I remember when my father, he moved from one place to the other, and I remember running across them. Of course, as a kid, I'd thumb through them every now and again.
Yeah, you got to keep those.
But I was like, wow, we need to save this. This is especially the stuff from there was early black and white, 30s, real rough paper and everything. Yeah. It's you need to save this.
Well, I would have you'd have maybe a Scoutmaster or two that was in the Scouts.
Yeah.
I had a teacher once, in junior high, and he was like a, that's the other thing. You'd have those teachers, with one exception, and they'd be like Vietnam vets and stuff.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. But then they'd be like, oh yeah, I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid, and it's I could bring in my old books and stuff if you want to see them, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm in the Boy Scouts, sure.
Yeah.
I want to check it out. So I'd have a teacher come in, and you'd look at your old books. So I've probably seen those books that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, because you're like, oh, we're so much more modern now, when we failed that tenderfoot test, we didn't whip each other.
No self-flagellation.
Do a bowling, you son of a... I'm going to try a bowling around your neck.
God, this is turning into the Jesuits. What are you doing? Self-flagellation over there, Yeah.
When
you guys
boys and men together, oh boy,
you guys weren't soldiers.
I did not say that.
Soldiers of Christ. You're soldiers of the outdoors.
I think Frank Herbert dealt with this in one of the Dune books. It was very interesting. It was
Hour 2, Scene 12.
Yeah. We had a magazine called Boy's Life.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. I remember that, yeah.
It was weird. The only part that I would look through it, and it was big. It was like a Life. You remember when magazines were like Life? It wasn't like the
coffee table.
Coffee table. They were huge.
Look magazine.
Broadsheet, Life magazine, like the Boy's Life at one point. And then I remember when they downsized. But at one point, Boy's Life was basically Boy's Life. This is the Life magazine for
11 by 18, right?
Yeah, they were big.
Yeah.
Lots of big pictures.
It's like a tour book, a concert. You go to a concert.
Boy's Life was it was here, here we are at the Jamboree cooking salmon on an open fire. Here's the spread, it's 6 pages of
s'mores.
Open, s'more, yes, exactly.
6 pages of s'mores and knots, tying knots.
Yes, pretty much. You got it, Jason.
Sweet.
Yeah, a full page, full color layout of the bowling. Rabbit goes in the hole, comes out of the hole.
Right.
Never forget.
That's right. Be prepared.
So there was that.
Yeah.
But I remember at the back page, I would always wait and love to get my boy's life.
Yeah.
Because the back page. And most
is that where the centerfold is?
No, come on.
Sorry. It's a Monday.
It would be knots, though,
Centerfold knots.
Yeah, it was like, this week's knot is look at this sexy half hitch that
that sailor's
from
West
Virginia made in Troop 48. So, whoa. That's a hell of a half hitch. Miss
June is a sailor's knot, and she's hot.
I'm feeling spicy after that half hitch. Anyway. Yeah. Interestingly enough, this plays into some more modern rope play. Exactly. But anyway, at the back page of The Boy's Life, that was always my must read. It was like, I would want to get it because The Boy's Life was basically sponsored and published by the Boy Scouts of America. That was the thing. But the back page would be the dudes. They had a special medal, and this goes back to that thing where you wish someone would like get their head sliced off or something. I'm sorry, that's not good for a Monday, but because you were a Boy Scout and you were trained with the first aid and everything to save a life. Ooh. And the back page would be a story of a scout who saved someone's life, and usually it had an end with a not even a photograph. It was like more like the New York Times drawing of the scout in the uniform, wearing the special medal of the Boy Scouts, the coveted "I saved a life" that was given by the national person. I don't know. The president would sign the Eagle Scout thing. You would actually have like mine has. I think Jimmy's signature on it, but I think maybe even the president might have signed that one too. I don't know, but it's like if you saved a life, you got this big ceremony. They flew you. It's like, we're going to give you a big
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Well, right, you saved a life. I'm down with that. It's like, support that. Support learning first aid. Support Boy Scouts knowing what to do, and someone chops their arm or something, and you go out and tourniquet. Half hitch, bowling. Not relevant to this emergency. Okay, sorry. Just was being fancy.
You get that coveted.
This person was bleeding to death.
You get that coveted mauled by a bear badge.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would read that religiously every month because it was always some story of some horrific thing. And usually some Boy Scout, and they actually it was totally open. So they sometimes would give it to Scoutmaster as well. Like, it was basically you are in the scouting program and you saved a life, therefore you get. So sometimes it would be a Scoutmaster did something, but it usually was always a Boy Scout.
That's cool, And
it was like great, it was awesome. And you would read this and then you'd go to sleep and you'd have dreams about, being a Tenderloin Scout, and it's like you're just walking, licking an ice cream, walking down the street, and here comes two vehicles just. Smashed, flying out the window and everything, and it's like, hold my ice cream. I'm going to save a life today.
While they're running away, you're running in.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
You're putting a tourniquet on someone's throat. It's like, I'm not bleeding there. You're choking me.
But no bones are broken. Don't worry about it.
Yes, you're splinting people just because it's like, because you can.
It's what you do.
Hey, it's not broken. I can move it. See, but it may be broken. Let me splint it up for you. But you learned all this stuff, how to make tourniquets out of your shirt. I mean, at some point, if the disaster's bad enough, you use your belt. So you have to have a belt.
Sure.
That works as a tourniquet. Then your shirt. And then your pants, and then you're down to your underwear at some point. You're nude walking around saving people. I'm going to put a tourniquet on that. Last thing is my shorts.
Right.
It's like, and then you're in the back page of the Boy Scouts, and it's like... there
you go.
You're feral running around. I don't know.
But I think more kids need that nowadays. I mean, think about it. If technology takes a dump and you're back to like 1800s overnight... You're going to wish you had those manuals.
Well, it's pretty bad. I mean, we have the computing supercomputer in our hands, and what do we do when there's things happen? We're
right
on the iPhone, right? Well, so this is a great PSA.
It is.
And I have not done this in quite some time. First aid and CPR classes.
Yes. Invaluable.
Take them. We should actually find out as an actual public service where you get this, because I think
Red Cross.
Yeah, I don't think you have to necessarily pay, or you can pay a donation, which is good to help support the program.
Yeah,
if you do,
they are more than happy to come out and teach you that for gratis.
That's right, and you should do it. You should do it, and we shouldn't. We also shouldn't
save bacon for a while. I mean, I've had to personally administer CPR a few times, and it's not pretty. But after it's over, you're thinking to yourself, "I'm damn lucky that I knew, how to do it, because it's just second nature. You don't even think about it. It's just bam and go, and you never know.
Right,
life is messy, man.
Yeah, and we also, I think, need to live in a society where. I think part of the problem, and I think we need to live in a society where people can take on that responsibility and not have ramifications afterwards. Because I think that the reason people shy away from these things,
litigation. I don't want to be
freaking
sued.
Litigation, and screw you, legal system that allows that. I'm sorry. Back in our day, you were deemed a hero.
Exactly.
You saved someone's life.
Yeah.
This day, it's like, oh, I'm not touching it. I'm not doing it.
No.
I mean, we had a guy at a Home Depot who saved someone from a kidnapping.
Wow.
This happened in Portland, Oregon. It went viral.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this. It was actually on my Facebook, because I think a guy
I remember something
I knew on my Facebook knew the actual guy. Like, it was right here local. And he goes out, and it was the cops, everyone. It was like, this is kidnapping a lady or the child or whatever. It was one of those deals, and the man tried to kidnap the kid and all that for whatever reasons. Doesn't matter. And the guy prevented it, stopped. He was an employee of the company. He gets fired. He gets fired. Oh, it's not company policy. And then he tries to get benefits, and the state of Oregon gets the benefits. But at that point, his story went viral.
Yeah.
And the company,
the bigwigs at
the company went, this looks bad. Yes, it does. It does look bad. You have a hero.
Yeah.
And he was actually, they said he was a good employee. He'd been there for a long time and whatnot. And they did offer to hire him back. But still. Why did that have to happen in the first place? Okay, maybe the company policy, but you know what? Company policy doesn't cover people getting attempted kidnapped in your parking lot or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that was covered in the orientation.
No. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do? Just stand there and let things happen? Because that's what we're reading about in the news lately. People just stand there.
Bystanders.
Twiddle their thumbs or get on their phones or film something and nothing happens. I mean, we can talk about headlines today, headlines this weekend, headlines that are all about that, and kids and stuff, and they're on their phones and they're just
papers are filled with that stuff.
Die.
Yeah,
this was not what I was raised with. Obviously, the Boy Scouts.
Right.
You're like, hey, you want to get on that back page, boy. You want to.
Right.
If you were ever lucky enough to use your skills to, be at the ready,
Well, even if it's more innocuous, like, let's say it's a bad storm or some sort of natural disaster. I mean, it's good to at least know what you're doing.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, I'm getting on the soapbox at the end here, but we need to rethink everything. Get back to that whole world again. I mean, there's a whole world. I mean, I don't know. See, this is what really makes me cranky about the startup world and all that stuff. We're all trying to solve these problems. Like, I'm too lazy to go out and get my food. I need someone to get it for. I'm too lazy to, take or whatever. I gotta need this. I need it to be so convenient for me. How about apps for the Meals on Wheels and stuff like that for the people who actually really need that stuff.
Wow.
You get off your butt and go get your food or whatever you want. But how about that? How about, like, it pops into my head right there, Meals on Wheels.
Meals on
The
Wheels,
people
right.
who really need that stuff. I want those apps that solve actual problems or bring people together, too. I want
Right.
apps that bring people together. Because I think
that is a good. I never thought about it in terms of that sort of
to watch someone who's like, oh,
connectivity.
there's actually an app for that. No, but,
maybe not.
But
though.
there's no focus on it. All the focus is on freaking Uber and valuation of a bunch of BS.
Apps
right?
are for profit, usually.
Snapchat, Snap.
Yeah.
Notice their shares took. I mean, who needs another stupid social network? You know, I mean,
you're
unless
onto
you're
something.
really going to bring people together,
Yeah.
you're really going to make connections. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people who have issues, who are lonely, who need. I mean, that's the apps I want to see. You come to me with your other BS crap about, and it's always like 10 different apps.
Visit
like,
a shut-in.
These guys or that guys. It's kind of the Amazon, and not to get down on Amazon.com.
Sure.
I think they've done a lot of cool stuff with retail.
Yeah.
Because brick and mortar to a certain degree, malls and stuff like that don't make a lot of sense to me. So,
Right.
so I'm not just like Google. I'm not down on Amazon. I'm not down on Google. But the more we kind of do that Amazon kind of a thing, the just every little whim you just get at you don't have to lift a finger, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to interact with anybody. That's our problem.
I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000,001 times. Never have we been more connected and more disconnected at the same time.
That's exactly right.
I mean,
that is exactly right. That's the whole thing when early technologists like me got into communication online, the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
We were actually thinking communication.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, even though what I found back in those days, and we're talking back in the days where you opened up a program and then there was a box that made squeak sounds on your phone, right? The modem. Right. And everyone was like, well, why would you use that to communicate with people when you can either call them or go see them or whatever? And there's a couple of reasons. One, email changed. I mean, you could instantaneously send email across the world and not use the postal system. It was quicker. You could chat with people. Same thing. And they didn't have to be there in your locality.
Right, but it's multitasking too, right? I mean, you can use the chat so you're not having to get on the phone and yak it with them.
Right.
You can actually type and then you can do other stuff, especially if you're working.
Right.
You know?
And what would happen, what happened back in those early days of online communication and then the internet, those early days, is people did find each other.
Yeah.
People of different orientations, people of interests, all that. It was a level playing field, and so you could interact where in reality you'd often have barriers to interacting. And that was something that I saw way back. I ran a bulletin board system and stuff before the web, and I was like, yeah, I love this. At one point, my system participated in a network-wide program where we would send emails off in bulk email off to Iraq the first Iraq War, not the second, the first one.
Desert Storm,
Yeah, Desert Storm. Thank you. And it was a quicker way for families to communicate with their loved ones that were overseas, and everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do that. That's a way we could participate and help." And they can send messages back and forth. And just that kind of communication revolutionized communication. And one of my favorite examples is we had one of the most successful, popular boards in Portland. It was a dating site. It was actually called Heartbeats. And the guy had multiple lines, and it was the beginning of online dating. It was like the very beginning. Or just not just dating, but you could get on there and chat and meet friends and stuff and meet new people. and it was very interactive, right?
Yeah.
This was when there was no AOL or anything. This was actually, wow, get on and I can chat at people. I can be maybe a little anonymous or choose to reveal what I want to reveal to make sure I'm safe. And it was an amazing system. And I know someone who maybe we should talk to one of these days, who I met online there. She's kind of famous online personality person from Portland. You know her. But anyway, and the guy who ran the system, and he was successful, it was like his business. You actually got on for free, but then if you wanted to do more, you'd have to pay. Right? And again, it would cost money. You'd have to bring in multiple phone lines, and you'd have to pay for those phone lines. You'd have modems, computers, equipment, lots of technology. This is all in your basement or whatever. The guy who ran that, the system operator, was a quadriplegic. Wow. And it was his system.
Wow, yeah.
And it was like, everyone was like, he's I don't know if that's actually PC, that word anymore.
Quadriplegic?
Yeah. But
it's all right. I think it's pretty acceptable.
That was PC.
Yeah.
And I think it was like really a thing where, he could get on there and type, but I think it was like, I can't remember, some pretty physical thing, think like the Stephen Hawking kind of stuff. But
cerebral palsy,
not
sort
quite
of
severe,
MS.
Severe, but a way to type in and do this. And I think eventually the news outlets did a story about him and stuff. But right there, when I found out about that, I went, there it is, there. Yeah. We're all the same online. I'm able-bodied. I've got my system. I'm doing all this stuff. But this guy's got a more popular system and more power to him. He's doing something I don't want to do, but he's doing a cool thing and he's popular. And we're all on the even playing field as people on the internet and online.
Yeah.
I'm missing that now.
Yeah.
I'm really missing it now. And then more and more I see people trying to erode that away.
Oh, sure.
I mean, at some point, I'll tell you the truth, at some point with all this stuff, the media and all that, the blogging and the podcasting and the citizen journalism, the citizens' opinions and stuff, there are people who really want to take that away. Yeah. And boy, if they do, goodbye. We're done. We're out of here. Forget it. Because you've lost what being an American is. Wow, get that flag out. No.
Proud to be an American. Yeah.
No, but anyway.
No, I hear you.
So that's kind of. So I'm seeing technology being misused.
Right.
And not being really used for its benefits.
Right.
Like how I got into it in the first place.
The funny
seeing
thing is
actual benefits.
The funny thing is when technology, when as it's being created and developed, it's from a utilitarian standpoint because I want it to do this, I want A to go, to go to B, and then it's always the later guys that come up and hey, we could make it into this and monetize it.
Oh yeah, it's always that. Yeah, and that's very much how the internet.
Yes, originally a bunch of scientists wanting to talk to each other, that they were tired of writing letters back and forth and taking forever to communicate.
It's a pendulum that swings back and forth.
MIT and Stanford or something like that?
Yeah. It's a pendulum
University
that swings
of Chicago.
Back and forth. And at some point, it's an investment, so somebody's got to make some money or, monetize, as you say. And that's fine. But you always want things in your society. You want the pendulum. It's never going to be here. It's going to be over here or over here, and you're always kind of waiting for it to swing back, balance. Okay,
right? Yeah,
and I think that we're out of balance.
I agree.
That we're all and when you see stupid stuff on the internet where people go, I'm going to make this a business or whatever, and it's like, that's a stupid app. Go home. I mean, and I hate to, people are like, well, creativity, you can't crap on people's creativity. It's like, no, but people aren't coming up with the ideas of society and the problems that need to be solved, and then figuring out the hard questions about trying to solve them. or just iterating on some idea and call it a solution.
Right. Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, the sad thing, though, is it turns out it turns from equality, the great equalizer of things, into kind of a narcissistic approach. Everyone's
Right.
got the 15, it's no longer 15 minutes of fame, it's now 15 seconds. Look at me. And that's what it turns into. So you see all these apps and stuff that really the only design it is either to A, make money, or B, bring a spotlight on someone so they can be noticed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, a lot of the stuff is created to from an altruistic sort of making life easier. And then people get a hold of it and say, we could use it for this and this and this. We could make tons of money, next thing you know.
Well, I bring it back to, the example that spawned this whole kind of rant is
the whole diatribe?
Is that whole, what the Boy Scouts were teaching me when I was growing up about, like, saving a life, being prepared for emergencies, all in altruistically trying to help people for that reason. And now we just see things where people are just right here,
hands off,
staring at their phone, not doing anything, or videotaping whatever's going on. And it's pretty depressing, folks. It's pretty depressing.
The world at your fingertips, and you never walk outside your front door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
On that happy note.
Yes.
Anyway, we got to close it up. Is there anything we can say that's happy? What are we looking at? So we're going to...
Oh, we didn't even get to the rice-sized microchip. We'll talk about that Friday.
Okay. Oh, we didn't. That's right. That's...
happy news? Oh, boy.
So we're not going to do
Sunshine
questions on Wednesday.
No, I think this Wednesday is just going to be Turning Left.
We're going to do kind of a summer schedule. Yeah. And actually, I haven't told you this yet, but week after next Wednesday, we will be off.
Right.
Because I will be off.
You'll be on location.
I will be on location.
Okay.
Is there anything we're looking at in the news other than, of course, it's going to be Russia,
right?
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything good? I can't think that the Timbers won a big one that I missed over the weekend.
I missed it too. I DVR'd it.
Yeah, I missed it.
I'll watch it now that I know they won.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
No, that's good.
I saw the Twitter.
I'll be happy to watch it.
Yeah.
Especially after the KC one, the last one they played, or Salt Lake.
Yeah.
That was an ugly one.
Yep. I'm trying to think. There's not any rocket launches or something I can think of right now. But anyway,
let's get down to the bare bones, folks. It's sunny outside. It's good weather. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Yeah.
So take it easy. We'll see you on Wednesday for Turning Left, and otherwise we'll take it easy out there. Okay. Bye.